Jim Harbaugh's resume is documented, but are they right for thinking all these expectations now that the Chargers should have going into 2024?
So this is my thing, right? And this is before the coaching hire when they talk about Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh. Just because you bring in a big name don't automatically mean that you're going to win, right? You're going to go into the Super Bowl. But you can only go by a guy's history. You can only go by that. And the truth is that he's turned around some terrible programs. He's turned around some terrible organizations. He's gotten some average players to play above average and at a skyrocketed level. I mean, that San Francisco team that came in, I mean, he made some of those guys look like all-world players. And so what he does when he gets in, he gets guys to buy in. In fact, last night, I was talking to Kasim Osgood. Remember Kasim Osgood, who plays special teams, one of the best special teams players of all time for us down there. And I texted him. I said, man, now that I'm thinking, I said, didn't you play for Harbaugh for a minute in San Fran? He said he did. He said, I loved him. He said, I absolutely loved him. Like, he'll run through a wall for that dude. And I got a long text message about how he just cares about the players, how he's getting the most out of guys. And I said, damn, that's pretty wild. And one thing is, he's never walked into a situation like this in his coaching career, period. You just saw everybody they named from Stanford to Michigan to San Francisco. All these were below average teams when they came in. The only reason why the Chargers missed the playoffs was because of lack of leadership. They didn't miss it because of lack of talent. And so coming in right away, and he's been, by the way, this dude, his manifesting of Justin Herbert and the Chargers, he's been talking about Justin Herbert publicly for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
And so with that being said, I mean, I think he's seen this already. That's what kind of the psychotic craziness goes in, because he kind of talked himself and talked his way and thought his way into this situation. Right. And so Justin Herbert, we already know what he can do, but he's been underutilized, haven't been put in the right situation. That team has been lacking identity. You know, I've gone to the games. I'm like looking at the defense. I'm looking at offense. I'm like, what in the hell? What are they? Are they a running team? Are they a hard hitting team? Are they a physical team? What the hell are they? They had no identity. Well, guess who got an identity walking in? Your head coach. Your head coach has the most identity. So what's going to happen? It trickles down. If Dan Campbell and the Lions didn't show anybody this year what a head coach can do for a franchise, that should let everybody know that coaches matter. And I don't care what they say, the players. No, coaching matters. Dan Campbell got everybody in that whole damn organization believe that they can go out and win football games. So day one, when Jim Harbaugh walks in that building, he's going to grab the attention of everybody in there. And by the way, the guys who ain't getting on board, the ones who ain't buying in, you either won't play or you're going to be out of there. And that's the way it should be.
Rock.
No, you
that was awesome.
Yeah, I had to pause real quick right there and just take that in, because that was great. That was great. Shawne, fire me up. I want to run through a wall right now just listening to you talk about Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, run through that TV right behind you.
Yeah, all those TVs. It's a lot of money right there. Shawne, I remember when we were talking Brandon Staley, it was before his firing. You had said early on when he got the job, I think it was either the first day or after the press conference, he had reached out to you, had a conversation with you, and gave you a call kind of to ask your advice and talk about the organization. Has that conversation with Jim Harbaugh happened yet? And if not, how do you see that going when it does?
No, I think that, look, he got a lot bigger things to worry about coming in. I mean, the press conferences and getting acquainted with everybody, there's a lot of process. I think that with Brandon Staley, coming in, he was a less known guy, right? So you want to get in touch with some of the people that have more notoriety or bigger names or bigger affiliation with the organization. I think it was the right path for Brandon Staley to reach out to me and a few other guys. He called some other guys too with affiliations who had some name recognition for the previous years with the team. With Jim Harbaugh, man, I think it's a different situation. I'm sure I'm going to talk to him. I'm sure I'm going to spend some time with him, but I'm not looking for a call from him. I think that, as psychotic as he is in a great way, he's probably already game planning and going through, looking at film. I mean, he's probably looking at film and that 60 point plus beating that the Raiders put on them and see who quit, see what guys, jog into the ball and don't want to play, looking to clean house. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts when you got it, because you're bringing in a superstar, right? There's not too many times that you bring in a superstar coach. Brandon Staley wasn't that. He was a guy who got an opportunity from Tom Telesco because he had a relationship with Tom Telesco. But we all know after everything how it rolled out, that he wasn't the guy fit for the job. It's the opposite when you talk about Jim Harbaugh. You're bringing in a superstar coach that's going to make superstar decisions and get guys going right now. So I'm not looking for that call, at least immediately anyway.
Shawne, you talked about that Raiders game and whatnot, that beatdown. Those fans,
that was the night we had them on.
They do not like you, man. They were preying on your down. I know it's all good fun, but the comments, we tagged you in a video and you collaborated with us. It was filled with Raider Nation just going right for you after that game. That was like, damn, they are preying on your downfall right there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. They brighten my day. They make my day better. It's nothing more I love than pissing off a Raider fan. So when they get a chance to take a shot at me, they take it. You saw it firsthand. If I was like some of these soft guys out here, I would have deactivated my social media because I was out this close from them sitting there lighting me up, man. But I think this, and of course, I'm a bag on the Raiders always, but I think they made a great decision in bringing in Antonio Pierce, right? I mean, that was the only man for the job. But this division has just gotten a lot tougher. And I'm not talking about just coaches, players, or whatnot. I mean, you got to play each other twice a year, right? So instead of a coach coming in like Jim Harbaugh thinking about a Super Bowl or thinking about playoffs, you got to be the best team in your division because the best team in your division was the Super Bowl champs and have been the Super Bowl champs. You got to come out and dethrone them right away by establishing your dominance in your own division.
Yeah, I just think back. It was that night, Shawne. We talked to you.
It was getting brutal,
or maybe it was right before. Yeah. Call off the dogs that night. That was tough. I'm sorry for your guys, but hey, it's led to Jim. We're here with Jim Harbaugh, and I think Kevin, you got a Jim Harbaugh related question.
Yeah, definitely, Shawne. First of all, I wasn't on here for the first time you came on, so it's nice to meet you. With Jim, I feel like, you mentioned that psychoticness that he has, like the energy, and I feel like it's something that can be so contagious. And you mentioned them needing an identity here, and we know Jim is super passionate about everything. But how excited are you that, Justin Herbert now gets to work with a guy? Because I think a lot of Chargers fans are saying we need to get the guy for Justin, and we need Justin to be able to work with this guy. Is Jim the right fit for Justin and what this team needs?
I use it for this, right? You take a guy from college, you get drafted. Some of these guys are really good in college, but they go to some bad organizations. And when you go to a bad organization, you got bad locker room. Before you know it, you're jumping right in with the bad attitudes, the guys that don't want to work hard. So you're fitting in that mold, right? I think that with Justin Herbert, he's about to see for the first time with a real coach as far as the direction that he wants to go. Getting them to buy in, getting them to believe, because I felt like a lot of these guys just lost belief. I mean, there's no other way to get 60+ points slapped on you, right? You got to believe, because even if you don't like your head coach, if you respect him, you don't let nobody put up 60 points, on you. That just doesn't happen at the pro level. So that showed me a lot that the guys kind of lost faith in him. So that's going to be the opposite of Jim Harbaugh day one when he get in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that the energy of a coach, the culture, and Nick, I was just thinking about this. If the Harbaughs in general, like this, the family just coaches, man. Like it runs deep in their veins. That's why I think they're going to coach as long as they can. Shawne, I think one of the things that I've noticed, or shouldn't say noticed, I think what I've loved the most, and I think this is important for Herbert and for the other Chargers, is the fact that Jim Harbaugh took so much adversity at Michigan. And people can say that they were stealing signs or whatever was happening. It felt like Michigan the entire year, everyone was trying to derail their season. And yes, he wasn't coaching some of it, but as a player, seeing Jim go through that, I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. Like, shit's tough. Like, the media is brutal. They're ruthless. Yeah. It's got to feel better seeing that a guy has been through all of this, that it feels like a guy that Justin Herbert, and he's got to be criticized. I feel like everyone criticizes what happens and saying Herbert's not good enough. And you believe Herbert's a top quarterback, but I think it's going to help finally having someone that's going to say, hey, it's going to happen anyway. Let me see if I can best prepare you for the shit that's coming your way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no question about it. You got to believe that Jim Harbaugh has a chip on his shoulder, right? I mean, you have to believe that, and that chip is going to be passed down to Justin Herbert. That chip is going to be passed down to the rest of the team. Also, too, you got two like-minded people. There's going to be a lot of, as you just said, a lot of relation there where they're going to understand each other. Like, hey, people thought that we were good in Michigan. We won a title because we stole signs, and Justin Herbert is, and all. If you heard about Pete Carroll and all the great motivators in football or in sports in general, they find that little nuance. They find that little trigger point, that connection to get that guy going. That's what I think. That's going to happen immediately between Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. There's going to be that connection, that chip on your shoulder. You fell off. You're not as good. You're a social media quarterback. I mean, I can see all these things are passed down to him, and I would like to be around when he says it, when he hears it, so I can get that chip a little bit myself, because I do believe that there's a lot of connection, a lot of correlation here that's going to be passed on to help these guys get going right away.
And so we're talking right now with Shawne Merriman, by the way, guys, and Shawne knows what he's talking about. And if you don't believe me, the guy played at the highest level, was an all-pro at the highest level, played in the AFC Championship game, and covers the Chargers. You have a pulse on everything that's going on. Zach, I know you got your question stolen from Rocco, but
I know Rocco stole my. I was going to ask you about the Raiders beef. You and Raiders fans, I didn't realize that was like the biggest beef on in NFL Twitter. But I'll move on to my next question. The Chargers recently, I feel like their kryptonite has been losing these close games. So what I love the most about Jim Harbaugh is he's a coach that has always found a way to win those games. And it didn't matter if they were ahead the whole time and it got close at the end, if they were behind and have to find a way to pull it out. And so are you I guess not most excited, but is something that you liked about Harbaugh was his ability to go win games, where in recent years, especially in Herbert's career, he's been let down where he gets them a lead with a few minutes left and then he gets the ball back with 20 seconds down, 6 points.
Yeah, and guess what, man? It's all about, look, when you got a talented team like they do, it's about putting guys in position to go out and win football games. And that's what's been lacking. That's what's been the biggest problem with them, because we all know they got players. I mean,
yeah.
You look on the defense side of the ball, to Derwin James and Khalil Mack and Joey. I mean, they got guys, and we know that they're all pros. We know they're Pro Bowlers. So what in the hell happened, right, guys? Nobody falls off like that unless you got some catastrophic injury that no one knows about. That's the only way you fall off. If it's not that, then you're doing something at the head coaching position that's not completely accurate, not getting guys going. So. And it sucks, man. The games that they lost within 6 points, because right at the end of the season, we just look at the record. What they won 5-6 games, whatever the record was. We look at the record. We don't look at how many games they lose within 6 points. And if they lost 3-4 games within 6 points this year, well, guess what? Those 5 or 6 wins become 8 or 9. Your season looks a little bit different then. So that's why I think that this job. For Jim Harbaugh was so lucrative, and I'm not just talking about the money aspect. Is that you going right now, if they win 5 or 6 games, those 3 or 4 games they lost by 6 points or less, you get those games, you automatically upgraded the team. It's no different when people talking about Dion in Colorado, right? They won 1 game.
Yeah.
So if you go in and when you win 4 games. That's an upgrade. That's a better season. He goes out and he wins 9 or 10 games this year. Guess what? They're on the path to getting better. Then you go out, you win a conference championship. You get into playoffs. You win an AFC championship game. You put yourself in a position to win a Super Bowl. All these things, man, are super important. And I am absolutely sure that played a part into him coming there. If they came in and there was no Justin Herbert, and they were 4 or 5 or whatever, and not a lot of upside. You look at it, they're getting blown out left and right. That job doesn't look so pretty anymore. But now you come in, you win those 3 games they lost by 6 points or less. You've upgraded everything that's happened with the organization, and that has to be a great feeling.
Yeah. So looking ahead then to next year, what would you consider a successful season? Is it record based, or is it something more where it's the way the guys are playing? You can see that the attitude has changed in the organization. What are you kind of looking for to see, okay, yeah, the right steps are being taken?
Yeah, the records matter. I mean, how you want to put it. The records matter. You know,
Yeah.
if they're with that team, they're 10-win seed, the 10-win team, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have to win 10 games, in my opinion. But also, more importantly, they got to establish their dominance back in that division, right? They just do, and you got to start to kind of dethrone the Super Bowl champs. You got to dethrone and be dominant, not just beat Denver. You got to be dominant. You got to crush Denver. You got to go out and beat the Raiders because of the Raider hate, which we just talked about for 15 years in my book. But and then you got to go out and you got to split games with Kansas City, and then hopefully at some point dominate them too, right? As you get better, so it starts to dominate the division first, and then start to get into the playoffs, then start getting into all the Super Bowl talk. But you got to go out and dominate that division again.
Yeah, it's been a while. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah. So, Shawne, one thing that I've been seeing flying around on the headlines when it comes to this, position for Jim is that, like, Jim's history with front office and like his big personality, obviously clashing with other big personalities, and the headlines flying around about how the Spanish family loves to be super involved with everything, and maybe that could be an oil and water type of combination. And I wanted to know if you thought that you could kind of put those kind of that narratives to bed, or do you think that it is going to be a challenge, but it's a challenge that they can get through, and it's not something that fans in general really need to worry about? Because I think that is something that fans kind of like think about a lot with the way that we've kind of seen, especially with history in San Francisco, obviously completely different organization, but it's questions that have been arising since this has kind of become rumor, and now obviously we know where Jim is.
I would say that if he didn't play there, right? If he already was in an organization, if he already hadn't had to deal directly with ownership in the front office, understanding how things work, understanding how the Spanos family are, and understanding the culture, and like if that didn't happen, I would say that could be a big concern, right? For a coach coming in, I want to control the roster, I want to control the drafting, I want to control. I would say that's a little bit more of a problem if you already haven't been in an organization between them, they know you, right? And so I think that relationship's there, and it's more of a respect level, man. I think that at the end of the day, and people can say all they want to, right? Because a lot of people are followers. Oh, the team is cheap. Well, we know they're not cheap anymore. They'll pay, right? Yep. We know that. So that talk is gone. Oh, they don't want to give up control. Well, they brought in a coach that loves control. So that talk is gone. And I think that just there's a mutual respect and understanding that they got to win. They have a all-star of a quarterback, a franchise quarterback, and they can do it now. So let's go ahead and make this jump. And they did everything that was necessary to put this organization back on the right path.
It's fun to see. I think the expectation is bring the Chargers back to relevancy, but not just bring them back to relevancy. Bring them back to glory in the AFC. Win that division first, and make some noise in the playoffs. I guess you don't have to win the division with the extra wild cards now, but you need to.